Every time I meet a person, I get the red carpet. They do their best because you are coming from a rich country. If you're in a poor country, they like to make contact with a guy from the rich country, maybe in the back of the head. So they really do the best for you. But the second or the third day, they ask you, when are you going on? Because they cannot do that. But because you only stay one day or one night, you always get a red carpet. There is no such thing as an uninteresting thing. The only thing that exists is an uninterested person. You understand?
Yes.
You have a person, I'm not interested. That exists. But everything else is interesting. How do they have these ones? You can have the whole story about robbers. I mean, it's up to you. You can pick it. But there is no such thing as an uninteresting thing. It's only a person that can have no interest.
Bem-vindos ao podcast Viagens a Pedal, o podcast de todos os viajantes de bicicleta. Bem-vindos à terceira série do nosso podcast e começamos logo com um convidado muito especial. O meu convidado de hoje é um dos viajantes mais teimosos e inspiradores que há memória. É o Heinz Stücke. Stücke.
It means pedaços, pieces.
Heinz Stücke. Agora muito bem. O meu convidado Heinz Stücke. Stücke. Passou mais de 50 anos a pedalar, visitou todos os países do mundo,
including 86 territories, common world. How do you say it? In French, you have the Polynesia, which is so it's they are not completely independent, but they are separate from the countries. Like new countries that are. Taiwan is not in the United Nations. If you can see the United Nations, you have 193 in the United Nations. And the Vatican, it used to be called part of the country, but now it's called only a delegation, so they took it away.
Also Kosovo.
And
Kosovo it's not counted.
It's not counted.
It's one of the
and North Cyprus and Taiwan is not counted in the but it is a country. And Palestine is a country, but they have a government in exile.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because you got conflicts in the world,
E percorreu mais de 650 mil quilómetros de bicicleta.
Quilômetros em bicicleta?
650k.
650,000.
650,000 kilometers.
Not 60,000. 650,000.
650, exactly.
Half a million.
650, more than half a million.
More than half a
650 mil quilómetros.
But remember, it's 50 years.
50 years.
Divided by 50 years, it's average 34 kilometers a day only.
So not too much. Não é
not
muito.
Much.
Hoje,
it's not the distance in cycling that matters.
Exactly. It's right. Muito antes de haver GPS, Google Maps, smartphones, e fez isto sempre sem capacete. Because you don't use helmets.
I get headache when I have a helmet on. I told the police once in Spain, and I said, I got a doctor, I got a certificate that says I must not carry a helmet because I'm allergic.
That's a good one.
But I have a rear view mirror. The rear view mirror is the life-saving thing that you have to have on the bicycle.
The rear mirror.
The rear view mirror.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Many times I tell everybody, but nobody listens. I tell you, 1 in 100 has a rear view mirror. The others don't have it.
No one, almost no one. I have one.
I hope so, but not the one that you put on the glasses.
No. On the
a big one.
Yeah, on the big one.
And you can shave in the morning. You can use it as a.
That's a good. Yeah, now we have the telephones.
You got to be respectable when you meet people. You don't want to be a vagabond sleeping under bridges and rotting away.
Hoje não vou perguntar por onde é que andaste, porque a resposta é por todo lado. Vamos falar sobre o que é viver uma vida inteira em cima de uma bicicleta, sobre o que se ganha, o que se perde e o que se descobre quando se escolhe o caminho mais longo de todos os dias. Vamos falar em inglês, espanhol e a língua comum universal de gestos.
E francês
Fiquem
também.
connosco. E francês também.
Si vous voulez.
D'accord. So now in English.
Vous parlez anglais?
Je parle français un petit peu.
Un petit peu.
Un petit peu. Espagnol también.
Moi aussi.
And now in English.
Ahora I'm 10 years here and I'm back in my German language. Before, I would come back to Germany and I would say, how do you say in German? They look at you, but you're German.
Yeah, you forgot.
Because I forgot it, you know.
Right.
Because English was sort of the most important language. Everything, all my pictures, all my captions are all in English, not in German. Huh?
So all in English. You
My
speak better
diary,
English than
my
me.
diary
It's
is
in English.
partly in German. No, it's partly
partly
in
in German?
German.
In the beginning.
Partly, depending in the country where I travel in. I was 4 years in South America, so I use Spanish.
Okay.
Because Spanish writing is easy. French writing is not easy because it's different sound, like it's written.
Right, okay.
English also is not all that easy,
Exactly.
but Spanish is much easier. And German also, you write it the way you speak it.
Okay.
I used to have a book here which has every entry, exit, and every statistic of every country in the world. So anytime, any country, let me see if you can get it. This is the book.
So,
can you pull it out?
yes.
And then you can ask any country.
This one?
The blue one.
The blue. The blue.
Bravo.
Okay.
So give it to me. So any country, mention it.
Brunei.
Brunei, you stupid. Come on.
I try a difficult one.
Are you going to kidding me?
I try to push the pressure.
But we get it. It's got to be B, A, B, every entry, exit,
you have
all the statistics.
The flag.
The total in the country. The many times I enter the country, Argentina, I entered the border 11 times, you know. For example, Brunei. BR, of course.
You don't put the flag.
Brunei.
When?
I went there from the 25th of November 87 till the 2nd of December 87. Only 7 days, but it's a small country, you know.
No.
There was a time in my travel where I decided I didn't want to stop. I had seen all the countries, so I have to go to these countries that are contested or half countries or territories or associated states or commonwealth or something like that, you know. So that's how I then, when I was in Israel, at that time already, I insisted on the West Bank. I insisted on going down to Sinai, because at the time Israel had taken the Sinai. You remember after the 67 war? And so you were in the Sinai, which was part of Egypt later, but at that time it was part of Israel at the time. You know. So I have a list. I have an atlas here. It's called the Time Atlas now, which has all the Guinness Book of Record. They used to have a Guinness Book of Record, but now they don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But they used to not only count in countries, but also the contested regions in the world. And so I had, from the Time magazine, from the Time Atlas, I took all what they counted. Look at this one here now. See that? So all these yellow ones are also, these are not countries, but they are regions. So all the yellow ones I visited. There were about 100 and so, but I had about 86 I decided finish. 50 years finish. I had a problem in South Africa. I was attacked there. You know the story about.
I heard it. Yeah.
And so I said, well, 50 years is enough.
It's time to go back.
Stop.
So that's a good. I will not. Of course, we'll talk about your stories and your adventures, but I will not talk about the countries that you have visited. How are you doing now? After a lifetime on the roads, what do you feel when you wake up and you are no longer moving?
Yeah, but it's no problem because I move around myself. I work. I make the archive of my journey, and I need another 20 years. I will never finish it because I got about 120,000 pictures here, and I have to digitalize them. But I'm not. I'm a dinosaur, you know. I'm the oldie. I don't use the computer at all, So, but I know that they have to be digitalized, So now I have to, well, here, this is digitalizing. And so,
And let's go back a little bit. Do you remember what was your life before you started cycling the world?
well,
Did you even have a choice to do something different?
no, you're reading Karl May. I don't know if you're German. Everybody knows as a youngster to read the books of Karl May. He was a writer, but it was all fantasy. But he went to the Arab world. He went to mainly the Indian tribes in North America. It's from 1860, 1880, since that time. And he had 60 books, and it was all good guy against the bad guys, But the Indians were the good guys, and the Westerners were the bad guys because they killed a lot of Indians there. And so he took more the side of, but he was kind of he had a helper with him, and he was traveling. And he was traveling by horse, by camel, or in America by Mustang, by horses and things like that. So these books, they were adventure books, and all the youngsters in my time, I read 40, 45 books of his. There are about 60 books he wrote about his travels, but he never traveled. That's the funny thing.
Just
Yeah, because he got a lot of information. Humboldt was one of the great travelers, and so he got a lot what they discovered, and he turned it into an interesting story. He was in there. It was written in the I form, so which is very important. And I believed until I was pretty old that then they said he was never there. I didn't believe that because you can he was there. He writes it. I've been there.
it was like
So that was one of the things, So
That
you
make
read
you-
the books and it's adventures books, and later on it was the geography, and you look at maps and stuff like that. You look hours and hours on a world map. I can dream, later on, even in the middle of my long journey, the nights I had the world map or the continent map, and then I was looking, and it was like where, how that place, where, how do I get there? So, and I have a photographic memory also. So in a city, I have a city map, so I can get my way around by memorizing the visual thing, So it was like the world map was probably the most important that I had with me, and I always night through I could look at it until 2 o'clock in the morning. Just look, how can I get there? And then some countries were in the end where everybody tells you, no, you can't get there, you can't get a visa. China in the 70s, you couldn't get there. Not by bicycle at all,
Yes.
So eventually I got there, because you wait till up and you wait till up. They told me about North Korea, you can forget about North Korea. Now they have tourism and stuff like that. Well, you can get organized in an agency, and you can get almost anywhere now. But you got to pay. And I never had any money. I made money while I was traveling.
But
The first thing I had, well, I started writing for a local paper, but this was tedious work. And so one time had quarrel with the editor because I was late in writing the regular article. They said, every 2 weeks you write us an article. And I was just getting to South America, and I was maybe waiting for 2 months before I wrote in, and he wrote back, listen, we want what's happening now, not 2 months later. And it was just little money that I got from them, so I stopped it. Never wrote to them again, But while I was traveling, I learned that magazines, weekly magazines, would pay, but you had to have a good story. So in the first few years, well, it wouldn't be easy, but later on, I would go to the Bund or to Hoje or to the big magazines, there is say something like that, and I would tell you, I'm traveling the world all the time, alone, with a bicycle, never stopped, never go home. So the story was good. And then the editor would say, pictures, we need pictures, because it's a weekly magazine. the story is short, but the pictures are great, you know. So I had to have here something like this, you know. 10 of them selected pictures. They were not cared. They didn't want to see the Eiffel Tower or something. They wanted to see you hanging on the Eiffel Tower or something like that. So I knew what kind of pictures they wanted. They wanted to describe my journey. So I had to be in the picture. And so I had the pictures. The editor called the photo editor. He looked at them. Great, great, great. And then the editor would say, good, we are taking the story. How much, what do you want? I said, what do you pay? So they say, we pay per picture or per page. I took what they offered because the weeklies, the big weeklies, they really offer a good money. Per page, 1,000 euro.
Oh, at that time.
And or a little bit less than 1,000 D-mark or something like that. But they would always make a spread. So it was like 6 pages was sort of the minimum. So you get really big money. Then I got from Bunte, you know, even Bunte, you know, the Bunte is one of the magazines in Germany. It's one of the big Stern, Bunte. Nowadays, it's all digital. Stern is online, and they still have a printed version, but it's a different age now. But in those days, the weekly magazines were big. And the Sunday Times, I sold to the Sunday Times and so. And that was good publicity at the same time. That was one way I made money. And then the next money was, everybody asked you the same bloody question like you do. I don't let you ask questions. So they were, so I had to say, yeah, I got to get a little flyer where I tell the basic name and kilometers and what I do. And those ones I would hand to people. But this was already with a few pictures, with 4 or 5 pages, you know. So they said, well, can we pay can we have it? Can we pay for money? You can always use money. So they would say, well, a cup of coffee. I like a cup of coffee. And so I let them decide. Instead of saying $1 or something like that, I said let them. And they don't want to be skimpy, so they give you 10, or they give you 20. I had people that give you 100, and because the bicycle was a strange bicycle, world map in the. I don't know. You've seen the bicycle already? It's still here.
Yeah. I didn't see it, but
you will see it later. And so it was catching definitely the attention of people. The world map in the middle, everybody's traveled nowadays, so they don't trust you. And so they have been in remote areas, let's say on Easter Island or something like that, and they would ask you, because it was on the map, because my route is there. And so, which was important to catch the curiosity of the people. And then you'd start talking, and then if they can approach you, it's very important that you not approach them, that they approach you. And then either they will give you money for the booklet, or they say, come, let's have a drink. Listen, in front of a restaurant in America, very much. Americans are very generous, and they have the money as well. So the bicycle stands outside a restaurant. I go and sit on the table, I order food, and soon or regularly, a guy coming in, come to my table, excuse me, is that your bicycle outside? Yes. Can I sit down? Yes. and so he talk. I know. I don't stop talking. And then he pays the bill. It's on the house. It's on the house.
So, and did you remember?
So there are many ways of earning money, but of course you have to be, spending. You either you get invitation. I got all of the nights, 18,000 nights, about divided in 1/3 in invitation in people's home, 1/3 in a tent, and 1/3 in cheap accommodations, and the rest, airport, train stations. In the airport, I would usually, when I fly, in the later stages, I flew to islands in the Pacific. In the beginning, I couldn't do that; it was too expensive. So I would go to the airport and What was I going to say? So I would always go early to the airport. If the flight was 9 o'clock in the morning, you got to get up early. Maybe don't jump in time because you got to be 2 hours early at the check-in. So I would go there in the night, and I spent the night in the airport.
Yeah.
Be careful you don't fall asleep because somebody
It was still yours.
steals.
I was.
Has happened.
Do you remember the first moment you said to yourself, "This is what I want to do for the rest of my life"?
You can never say that because that's stupid. Because even now, or even after 20 years on the road, then they said, "When will you go home?" Next year. It was always next year or the year after. Because how do you know 20 years? I go back in 20 years. It's not possible. So it wasn't. The thing I was doing was beginning to be the content of my life. And so it still, you can't tell in 1990 that you will be home in 2020. You can't. It's impossible. So you say, maybe next year or the year thereafter. I said that 100 times, Even my father called, and he was very, I'm sure next year I'll be home.
You were cheating him. And now, in the beginning, before we start recording, you told about your vision about the bicycle and the was the bicycle just a mean to an end, or did it become part of you, or
It developed
the
to
bike?
be a very good item to have. It's sporty. I was playing football, so it was also a matter of doing it on your own, with your own power. But that was not developed to be a very, very good way because a guy on a bicycle can't be a bad guy. And he's approached, and they confine you immediately because you're a good guy on a bicycle, and you're a sportsman. I mean, I'm not a sportsman. I was a footballer, but not a bicyclist. But for them, it was a sportive way to do. And the most important. What was the most important? What do you think?
Travel is the most important. Meet
No,
people. Meet
why
people.
my bicycle?
The bicycle because it's the mean or not?
No, it is there's a so-called stopping power. They catch the bicycle. It's a catch. If you go around with a rucksack, nobody, no, or walk in the city, nobody talks to you. You walk with a bicycle, and the bicycle has advertised your journey. You instantly have contact with the people, and instantly they trust you. So the bicycle turned out to be the best passport that I could have had. On top of it, the story became, the more you cycle, the longer you cycle, the more the story became unusual, and the more I could turn it into money. Because remember, a guy on a bicycle cannot be a bad guy.
I truly believe this. I don't know if it was. I'm always saying that. I don't know if it was when I hear by the first time. I don't know. Probably it was you. I hear from you, but I'm always repeating this. People, when you come in a village, and you see, and you are in the bike, no one.
Always slowly.
Sorry.
Always you travel slowly.
Yes, yes.
Because you're in a hurry, go through the village, you pass through, before you know it, you're on the other side. No.
What is it to like to live over 50 years outside of the system without a fixed address, always moving?
In the last few years, I had the last 20 years or so, there was already with the computer, but before that, it was letters. I had a postcard campaign. I wrote from exotic places. I had 500 postcards I bought. I sent it to, I have an address book full of names, and every name has a story of everyone in the address book. And to receive, I would, for example, I was in Kabul, in Afghanistan, and I would arrive at Tehran. So I would write to everybody that I wanted to answer. I wrote to them from Kabul. I will be in Tehran in 1 month, and please write to poste restante. It's called poste restante. It's to the main post office.
With
You
your
go
name.
there, you show your passport. The danger is that they don't keep it very long, you know. And in the third world, you just can't find your cards because what letter? Heinz, they look at the wrong place and then they don't find it, no. But you insist because you know it's gonna. You must look. And usually I found letters, you know. So problem is, for example, from Kabul, I said Tehran. I was waiting for important letters, really important ones. And in Afghanistan, the journey took a long time because it was very slow, bad mountains. And
I was there last
I
year.
could not go from Kabul, fly to Tehran and get the letters and fly back to Kabul. First of all, the visa was complicated for us, so I had to get out of Afghanistan. So when I was out of Afghanistan, first border in Iran, I stopped. I put the bicycle in the camping ground. I took a bus, 1,200 kilometers from Mashhad to Tehran, went to the post office, stack of letters, pocket, wanted to go back with bus, no bus or all booked out. So I started hitchhiking. A guy, a son of a military man, he had the car was of his father. He was a youngster. He was also in the military. He was going back to his barracks. He was going to go to Mashhad, but he was, you know, Iranians are bad drivers. I tell you, the worst in the world. It's kismet. You know what kismet means? It's destiny. You can. They cut the corners. They go on the wrong side of the road. They speed. I've seen accidents. No other country has so many accidents that I've seen in Iran. This guy, we driving, we come into the Gombat area and the hilly area north of Tehran, and in a curve, a bloody car comes on our lane, and we crash full speed into the car, a police car. We hit a police car. I was 10 days in hospital. See that marks here?
Yeah, you have some mark, yeah.
Luckily. But you know, something like that happened. I mean, I've had 6, 7 accidents like that each time when I was hitchhiking. So I left, for one reason or another, left the bicycle there. Because a friend of mine said, oh, I'm visiting my sister in Vancouver. I was in Houston at the time. So I said, no, I can't be there in time because he was only 2 weeks in holiday with his sister who immigrated to Vancouver. So I left the bicycle in Houston. And I hitchhiked to Vancouver and hitchhiked back. Then I had friends in Alabama. Instead of hitchhiking straight back I hitchhiked to Alabama, then back to Houston. So I did a lot of that in U.S. as well, you know. And it's interesting hitchhiking as well.
Yeah.
So you meet also interesting people, but also crazy people.
Crazy.
One time I lost all my passport, my pictures and money, everything. Because somebody, there was a very nice guy. I was hitchhiking back from New York. It's a long other story, but anyway, I was hitchhiking back to Costa Rica where I had left my bicycle. So the guy picked me up and he said, oh, do you smoke? I said, no, I never smoke. I'm a sportsman. There I was a sportsman. So he said, he stopped smoking, but every so often he craves for a cigar. Then we drove in Pennsylvania. I was in Pennsylvania. Then he said, you don't mind? I just got to have a cigar. So he drove to a shopping mall, but it was a big parking lot. And so he decided, I should far away from the shop. So he drove right in front of the shop, a drugstore. So he gave me some money and says, just jump in and get me 2 cigars. And when I was inside, he drove away with all my stuff in the car, my cameras, my everything. 1,000 pictures I used at that time already for slideshows. Slideshows is another thing where I can make some money.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you about the money with booklets and things like that, but it's not all the way. There are many ways.
Of
Many
making
ways.
money. So you are an entrepreneur.
And I develop an eagle's eye. You know what's on the side of the road? A lot of things. You know, you can find absolutely everything you need, from towels to T-shirts to baseball caps to money, everything. I know one example. I was riding around to Tahiti, not Tahiti. Yeah, Tahiti. Yeah, Papeete is the capital. You know, riding around the island, once this way around and once that way around. They come on the eastern side, there were surfers on the ocean, you know. As I was riding, my eyes automatically scan the side of the road. So I saw on the other side of the road, it looked a bit like money. Everything looks a bit like that because a lot of dirt. I mean, dirt road, everything is on the side of the road. You throw things out of the car. So I went on and I went on. About 1 kilometer further on, I talked to myself. I said, it looked like money. So you have time. I talked to myself, Heinz, you have time. Come on, check it. So I turned around, cycled back on the other side, of course, of the sides of the road. So I came to the place and I looked down. True enough, it was money. So I thought first, hey, that's 1,000 Pacific franc. Well, that's eight US dollars. But it wasn't. It was 10,000 because I counted 3 zeros, but it was 4 zeros.
Yeah.
It was the biggest bill they had in Polynesia. So it was $80, you know. So, I took the money. I went to the next travel agency and I bought a ticket from Tahiti to Easter Island because they had a special offer. Because Chile flew to Tahiti, then you have to change planes for other destinations. But the place with the Easter Island belonged to Chile. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
And
The
so
Easter.
Rapa Nui is
Rapa Nui.
the
In
in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
In the middle of the ocean. So I went from Tahiti. They had a special offer because many people stop in Easter Island, but they flew to Tahiti. So they had a very special offer from Tahiti to Easter Island, from Easter Island to Tahiti. So because of the money I found, I went there 8 days to Easter Island. Like this way, you can do that because otherwise the tickets in the Pacific is very expensive.
Yeah. No, you told already, you met a lot of people. And how do you say goodbye to people knowing that you'll never see them again?
It's all written down. I got cards. If you look in that drawer there, I got A5 cardboards where the people, I stay in places, they put a photo there, they put the address there, they put the dates there, and it's all, I got 800 addresses in cardboards. And so I say, look, I will write, but I will never write because it was not possible. But one time in Hong Kong, I wrote 1,040 postcards to all the addresses that I decided that these people were nice to me. I got address books. I think I would have about 4,000 addresses in my address books. I can show you. They're all here. Dears.
And is there a place that really have marked you? Not because the beauty or how it made you feel? Is there any?
I don't like superlatives. The best, the highest, the worst, the nastiest. It's all of this does not exist for me because every country has good and bad, and every country. What my saying is this way. Listen carefully. Is this? There is no such thing as an uninteresting thing. The only thing that exists is an uninterested person. You understand?
Yes.
You have a person, I'm not interested. That exists. But everything else is interesting. How do they have these ones? You can have the whole story about robbers. I mean, it's up to you. You can pick it. But there is no such thing as an uninteresting thing. It's only a person that can have no interest. There's another good thing. Every time I meet a person, I get the red carpet. They do their best because you are coming from a rich country. If you're in a poor country, they like to make contact with a guy from the rich country, maybe in the back of the head. You know? So that they really do the best for you. But the second or the third day, they ask you, when are you going on? Because they cannot do that. But because you only stay one day or one night, you always get a red carpet. Can you understand that?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's ideal to travel because
You are always you are the best part of the.
And then the tourism starts when you tell another person, no, these people, there and there, they are very nice, go and see them. And then many people come to that place. Then they say, hey, what's this? And they put a sign up on the board, entry, $2. Then tourism starts, mass tourism starts.
And today, with there is so much tourism, there is so much technology. Is it possible to travel as free as you were?
Of course, well, at the Eiffel Tower, you won't meet many French.
It's only some tourists.
But if you want to see the Eiffel Tower, you do that as well. But 200 meters from the Eiffel Tower, in some of the side streets, you don't see any more tourists. You see only Frenchmen.
Yeah.
So, but you got to see the Eiffel Tower, of course. But you can see the Eiffel Tower from many places in Paris, you know. And if you want to climb it, you have to pay $12 or something like that. It's just too much. But you can, but you climb it once a life. Or somebody says, let's go up to the Eiffel Tower. So they will pay, you know.
But you were talking you were talking about that everything is beautiful, and the best is don't expect the best day is don't expect nothing. And today people are looking.
You got to dig into this. You got to dig into it. That's the information. You got to search for information. So it's not just that something completely strange comes to you. Well, you cannot dig into a country in a way that you will know all about it, you know. But most of the time, if you are a tourist, you are guided to the sites and things like that, and you're out. But you're not mixing into the society. You never do. You can never completely, of course. But the curiosity has to be there. You try to read about the country before you go there, and so then you travel alone. You make contacts. You stay, let's say, the size of a country from 100,000 square kilometers. You stay 2 months, 1 month, 2 months. You learn about the food. You learn about the habits. A few words you learn. I usually had a list of 40 words of the most common words in our country, the greetings and bye-bye and stuff like that. Muito obrigado, for example. No, but in Brazil, I decided to speak Spanish because I was really wanting to speak Spanish. When I first came from South Africa to Rio de Janeiro, I told everybody, yo voy a hablar español ahora contigo, está bien. But they understand, Portuguese will understand it. But the other way around, you will not understand, or will not everything. Yeah. But because I decided to learn Spanish, because most of South America, most of Latin America is Spanish speaking, and so I studied on the ship. Even in South Africa, I studied Spanish. So I didn't want to mix it up with Portuguese. So because they're very close, and it's not very good because you mix it all up and you start thinking about it. So anyway, it was no problem in Brazil, and it was only the first 2 months, and then I went to Argentina. Then it was all
Spanish, all the South America.
And then I pick it up. I have cardboards on the bicycle, 20 words a day. It's on the double handlebar. I got a double handlebar. It's very high, so I could learn 20 words a day. At the end of the day, I knew them all by heart. And the next day, I tried the ones that I learned the day before. Then I have another 20 words. Within a month, I have 500 words memorized, you know. And then I have a radio on my bike. And so then the daytime, in the night, I get shortwave. I get all the stations in the world, from the BBC, Voice of America, Radio Exterior de España, Radio France International. In the night, I can get it all stations in the world. They used to have shortwave. And in the daytime, it was not possible. Shortwave is not functioning in the daytime because of the waves, the radio waves. In the daytime, you get medium wave. And that was local station. They were all medium wave. And you can have medium wave from 300-400 kilometers from the city. And that is the local language. And then you listen to what you have learned. And there's a word, and there's a word, and there's a word. You pick it up after about 3-4 months. You can use, first of all, you memorize the words. Secondly, the simple present, the simple past, and the simple future. All the others, preconditions, forget about it, and you can use that. In Russian, it was good because they had bil or будет. Bil is the past, and будет is the future. Even when you speak any words, then you want to say it tomorrow. You say будет, or you say before it was bil. I don't know if you know that, but
No, I didn't know that about the.
so these two words were very important in Russian.
Okay, and how do you deal with the long-term solitude? Or you never feel solitude? You always.
My God, I have met more people than
that
ever in my life.
How many times did you fall in love?
Lonely stretches. Long, lonely stretches is a very good yoga. You know,
Stretches, yes.
you know, you can dream. I have pictures endless, as far as you can think. It's all in the distance, and it's a great end. It's like yoga, but yoga is you are on the spot. And there you have the feeling you make progress because you conquer the distance.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's repetitious, very repetitious. But you can dream. You can dream.
And I was asking, how many times did you fall in love? You forget that number.
I'm still counting.
And
that's when you say, how many women did you sleep with?
or maybe.
Falling in love.
Did you count it already?
Falling
Also,
in love is a disease. It's a disease, you know. It doesn't happen when you know that the next day you're on the road again, you know. But woman you need, well, it sometimes happens. A married woman, there's nothing happening in bed anymore, and she knows that you are leaving the next day. She has a one-night stand with you regularly. Not regularly, but
it happens.
it happens.
It happens. And did love never compete with your purpose of eating the world? Or you never decided I must stop because I met this woman? And
well, I've stopped now, you know, because so much has accumulated. I have to put my emphasis on why do I accumulate that? Just throw it away in the rubbish bin. I don't want to do that. So that's what I'm doing now. Every day, every night, I work until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. The daytime I got visitors, and I love that. You know, in the night, everybody's out, sometimes midnight. We talked until midnight, 9 o'clock. Pizza. You look in the kitchen on the ceiling in the kitchen. Look at the kitchen.
you have there?
Just quickly around the corner, the first door right, on the ceiling. Because we eat pizzas.
You love pizzas. Pizzas is your best.
Then they write the date and the name on it. It's all marked with.
What lessons did you learn from this life, from so many kilometers in the road?
The lesson is, you decide what will be the content of your life, and I've decided that this is the content of my life. Everything else doesn't matter so much, and I get recognition for it. I'm working family. I worked as a mechanic, apprenticeship as a mechanic. And when I started to, not in the first few months or first few years, because then you suddenly realize that's what you want to do.
So first you were a mechanic practicist.
Toolmaker.
How many years did you?
For 3.5, but I couldn't get the job, the apprenticeship at the right time. So I had to work a few months first, and then, so it's 4 years and then after, immediately I started to travel around the Mediterranean for 4 months and 10 days when I was 18. We got out of school, we don't have a long time in school. You get into school with ground school. 8 years, no more. And then professional school, once a week, and then you study your trade. But most people in Germany did that in the past. Now everybody wants a gymnasium, wants to have the bachelor or whatever you call it, you know. because it gives you a better chance in life, of course. But tradesmen, we need them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very good with metals. I learn about a lot of things that I can use during my journey. So I went around and then I worked a little bit. Then I had 1 year of travel as far as India, and I came back through Russia at that time. Very unusual to get into Russia in 1961, and so I had already a recognition when I arrived here at that time. And I used to play football in the local club here, so I was treated very, very unusual because I was usually the shortest one in class. So that was not very nice, but the shortest one are the vicious one. So in football, I was the one who was dribbling, and just 1/10 of a second before the other one was on the ball, I was there. Because I was, we are a sprinter. When you have short legs, you can sprint.
Faster.
Some of the best football players are short.
Yeah.
Pelé or Uwe Seeler, about my size, 170, 165 or something like that,
Yeah. Now they are becoming bigger, like
There
Ronaldo
are
and
also some good players,
the new
of
ones.
course.
The new ones are.
But a goalkeeper is
it
not
has to be
my,
very, very high.
My height as
Yeah,
a goalkeeper.
he has to
You
be.
can't do
Has to
that.
be. And do you have some moments of fear, as some special?
No, the fear. Everything you do, if you don't know to do it right, if you climb a mountain and you have no knowledge of mountain climbing, you don't do it. Because if you do it, you're dead. So you don't do it. But somebody teases you. We've climbed at a volcano once. It was very steep. Down, well, it's not so, rocks down. Up again, the rocks falling down. Everybody climbing above you was, volcanic soil is very brittle. And well, it won't hit you because your head is only this wide. So the rocks, but that is what you don't do. And I cannot do something from where I haven't got the technique. So if you want to climb a big mountain, you better know about mountain climbing. So you don't do that. That is the way how. The most dangerous thing is cars. And therefore you have a mirror. So you see what killer trucks are coming behind you. Still you can't complain. All my accidents were not on a bicycle, were inside cars.
Yeah.
When I was hitchhiking, frontal crash in Iran, catapulting into a river in Alaska, in 20 below zero, in Salvador. I give slideshows in German clubs, and then the youngsters sit around, we drink beer, and at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock, yeah, what to do? You know what's happening? They take you to the zona, where the ladies are. All over South America you find them, So you go there and you drink, and then the guy who has the car, he says, okay, I'm going home. Anybody want to stay? Or you want to come? So you got to come, okay. I said, oh, I don't want a woman. You can get a woman, but I'll give money. But normally beer is same price like in other places, no problem. South America is a very nice place. The ladies come to your table, but you don't need to go with them. You can, up to you, So we drive back into the city, where he had a big American car. And he was at 3 o'clock in the morning. He was driving like an idiot through a big highway right through the middle of Salvador, El Salvador. San Salvador is the name of the capital. And then he suddenly decided it was a double-lane highway. In the middle there were some greens and things like that. But every so often you have where people or police will turn to get to the other side. So he suddenly decided, that's what I was told later because I was 2 days unconscious. He took the turn with a high speed and he landed on the tree on the other side. And I was bang into the mirror, into the window, crashed, and my chin push on the dashboard, put everything inside. My head hit the mirror. I cut my lip off completely. My lip was gone. Yeah, you know that. And I was unconscious for 2 days. I didn't even know. The guy took me to a first aid, what you call him, Red Cross, and they sew back the. You see a picture there on the cupboard here. Here
Here on the
you see a picture with my lip like that.
in the
Oh, let me see if I can.
which one?
Yeah,
yeah. With the
on
photo.
the corner.
Yeah, on the corner with the photo. Oh yeah.
You see the lip.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 days later, I woke up. I see myself in the mirror. Who is that? never get a woman anymore in my life.
But you survived. Yeah. I see now that you have we can see something. There was something here.
Another accident. Another one again in a ladies' part of the city in Lages in Brazil. Near Curitiba. We went home. He went home. I stayed in his place. He used to go the route. He at 3:00. There's no cars or things, so he used to cut a corner. That night, behind the corner, there was a truck standing there with pipes, and we run right into the pipes. Through the car, the pipes we were down below. That was another accident. So we had to cook about 4 or 5 accidents I had that way.
But and the robberies and stuff like that.
Like I said, the guy who drove away with the car one time in New Jersey, and pickpocket many times. All my cameras and everything was under my head. I was sleeping, very safe place, covered, but somebody must walk, I must have snored or something like that. And he took the bag from under my head, my passports, I had a very good Nikon, because in Japan, quite a bit of money, I bought a nice Nikon F2, all gone. Lens is torn.
But overall, we can say
That was in Thailand.
Overall, people are nice.
Well, it's up to you, because you're risking things because you don't want to spend money. So if you spend money, you go into a safe place, but nobody's there. It's pretty safe, but you have people walking at night around. In Russia, many times drunkards in the middle of the night, they surprise you in the tent, and that has happened. I had a big fight with Chinese drunks. They caught me up. And in China, you don't go to a hotel because they have to report you. You're in a closed area. You have to pay fine. And I just cycled everywhere. I was hiding at night, or sometimes I went to hotels, or sometimes in the middle of the night, a couple of hours, I want to sleep, I want to sleep a couple of hours. You get a sort of sight from the main road. There's a how do you call it, a bay, an opening area. So I put the ground sheet, and suddenly 3 guys coming, drunk. And they pushed me there, and I jumped up quickly. And one guy, he was really aggressive, and he came running at you. And he was drunk. So I stepped aside, and he crushed to the ground, like a movie. Like a bullfight. And he jumped up again, and he got another big rock, and he crushed, he came running. 2, 3 times it happened. And then the other 2, they were not quite as drunk. They tried to hold him back. And then the guy, he jumped on my bike, and he stamped on the bike and on the side. And so I ran away. I left everything behind. I ran to the road, into the next house, and shouted there. And I think they always have. So it's a dictatorship there. So they had people coming very quickly. And they managed to get my stuff back, and I went to the house, And then they took me to their place, and I had to pay a fine, because it was a closed area where I was moving in. China has a lot of closed areas in that time. 1988, 89, 90, 91, 92. I traveled, in pure time in China, I traveled 1 year in China.
So,
Myanmar.
when you are alone, and you think if you are with someone else, it will take care of you, or it's the same?
No, if it
More
so
safety.
happens, usually if you meet another cyclist, we talk about cyclists,
Yeah.
and then he's going south and you are going north. You say hello. If it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, okay, let's camp. And then you go into the forest or someplace and camp together. You have a night together, drink and eat and whatever you have and provision with you. And he goes south and you go north. That's the way. In cities where they congregate, sort of on Khao San in Bangkok, everybody is there. Have you been in Bangkok?
Not yet.
Khao San is one of the streets where foreigners are. And you see bicycles standing in front, but usually the restaurants, they're not shut. You know, it's a warm place. So you have steps up and you can look right down the street full of people, but you sit on a first you steps up and then you sit on a table and you order and they can buy things out of the shelves, you buy things, but there you see another bike there. He's also a traveler, so and they see you. My bike was always catching attention because I have a special bike, you know. So you are with other people. Where do you go? Where do you come from? What do you do? So you exchange each other's routes, and that's very good. Because they have done it, and they know what happened to them. You know, many people have been killed on the way as well. You know, one guy here he was shot in Mexico. First they said he was crashing down into a how do you call it, an abyss.
Yes.
An abyss, you know, but it was they found bullets in the two people, one German and the Polish guy. The German guy was 5 years already traveling around the world. That happens. The route that they took, I knew the route, you know, because everybody told you about from south of Mexico, you can go to Palenque, there's the ruins of the Mayas, and then you can go the jungle route. But they told you already in my time, many bad things have happened there. People have been robbed and been attacked there. But the people, two of them, and it was an exciting route through the jungle. And they wanted to go to the Maya ruins in Yucatan, you know, so they went through there. And that was where many people, not many, but people have been robbed there. And this was known, or people talk about, don't go on that route. But they went on the route and they didn't live through because they were shot. That just happens.
Yeah, sometimes.
I know in some parts, we stayed in the Lucho, at a place in Trujillo, in the north of Peru, the Casa de Amistad, and he can tell you stories about. He sometimes took people out of Trujillo because there were certain places where this happened as well, because there were sugarcane fields, and so they take you off the road and push you in a site. You know, in sugarcane you have where tractors go, and you go one in, you can look through. And then you have one going this way, and then this way. So you're in a labyrinth, and the sugarcane is taller than you, you know, because they're really big. And so you disappear. And there they rob the people. They take them off the road, and they rob the people in that places.
It happens.
And
is there anything that you didn't do that you, or during 50 years you have done everything what you want? What you want.
You go from country to country, and later you repeat, because when I was first time back in Europe was 14 years, so I decided not to go home. I went to London, and I sold my story. And I made some money there, got big magazines, and lots of publicity. And that time I said, 1978, I said, I will do every country in the world. So it took 16 years. The last country was the Seychelles, but then I couldn't stop. Then other people have been collecting countries. There were lists, and people were competing. Who has most countries? Most countries is all countries is not enough. Then you have
Twice
100 regions and associated states and things like that. So I after the Seychelles, I started to concentrate on semi-countries, from pseudo-countries, countries that have declared independence unilaterally. For example, the northern part of Somalia is called Somaliland.
Somaliland. So, and what did you lose living a life like this? Family,
I'm
roots,
still
stability.
in the middle of the journey. I'm still in the middle of it. So people come, and what is better? And in the night I can work, so I can leave something behind. Although the city hall, all of this already signed over to city, because while they talk about making a museum, but then Corona was coming, and then they didn't get money because they don't want to spend their own money for this. They want to get money from the government, so they have to go to Detmold or Düsseldorf or Berlin. These are the places where they can get money for building a museum. No? But I'm okay because I have my own here. I've had maybe 500-600 people here already. In of course, 10 years is a long time.
So now,
So there's no what I would like to do or something. I would like to have my legs moving again, But this way is also not bad because I can make progress with my own stuff here.
and what you gain, we can imagine the world. You gain the world. It's you.
Wow.
You have a view of the world that no one.
We all have to go someday, So, but I like to have more time because it's all halfway digested. No. I mean, as material is still.
But you don't know still. But you don't still what to do. It's like a museum, or it's still
I'm
any.
preparing those books now, which are selected for every country. So I have 240 books, where my route is in every book is about the country, or a book is about, if I was 5 times in the country, so it's 5 times, but it's about that country, How many times I was there, what is my route there, statistics about the country, how many population they had at that time, 50 years later, how many, like in Ethiopia, in Ethiopia, the population was 22 million when I was there. It's 120 now.
Yeah.
After I was in 63, I was there, and that's for 60 years. In 60 years, that's 6 times the population.
But it's also like in Nigeria, it's the same. In Egypt, it's the same.
40 million now is 240 or something like that.
Yeah, it's in these 60 years they increase.
Yeah, but somehow it's not possible. Or they run away and try to get somewhere. That's why they go wherever they can go.
Yeah. So
or they fight each other. That's what evolution is all about. When there are too many of one kind, you have the locusts. The locust.
The locust.
Well, the animals that eat.
And the locusts, yeah. It's because of the pressure of
the crickets. The crickets, they eat everything, and then there's nothing to eat, and they die all. They're not a million. There's a billion of them. They darken the sky when they fly from one region where they can still eat. When I was on the Marokana coast to Mauritania, I suddenly see a cloud of locusts in the air. They were flying into the ocean because they were driven by a storm, and there was all desert there, and that part of the all desert. But they came from farther away in the desert where there was nothing. And then I went also through the desert. I see trees completely, all green was gone. They eat the shit. Underneath were all droppings of them. And then they have to move to another tree, and then another tree. And when there's nothing left, they all die. That's evolution.
But values like hospitality, do you think it's common sense, or
No,
because I feel that in Africa I feel more hospitality.
In deserts, it's absolute necessity to be, because if you don't, you may be yourself into the situation where you have no water. You have to share your water in the desert. This is the surrounding that dictates what the behavior of the people is. And in the desert, Arabian countries, usually they have grown out of the desert. They have Bedouins, they have tents and stuff like that. So they are traditionally hospitable because they themselves be in a tight situation where there's no water or anything. So they need to have assistance by the others. So even if they have animosity towards another tribe, but while they meet each other in the desert, then they have to give hospitality even to the ones that otherwise you make war against.
Yeah, maybe
That's in the Arab world. Islam is based on it as well. The religion even is based on it.
For instance, for me in China, I have a terrible.
All the concept of God is depending on if you are living off the forest, you have another god or a goddesses than people that have agriculture or whatever they have, or
It is
hunters.
different.
So your concept of God is even different. God is made by us, for us to have a. The devil is also made by us.
Yes.
The devil for the bad and God for the good, It's kind of simple. And they threaten you with the devil. If you don't be good, you go to hell. And it's very hot there.
I heard.
But in heaven, it's very, very boring.
In fact, what does a perfect day on a bicycle looks like to you?
The perfect day is when it's a complete, no idea what's going to happen that day. It's a absolute new day, and something is happening. Of course, you probably are safe or you are secure because many days have passed. But that day it's a new day, a new sunrise. It's like the first day that matters, And you have no obligation. You what you get. It's you dream. Maybe you dream about finding a bar of gold or something like that, But that moment you start new into the day. It's like a feeling of power that you have, that you discovering something,
Every day there is a new possibility, a new story to write.
And this is that's mainly in nature. In a city, it's not like that because you're in a hotel room or you're going to meet somebody, you have a date with a girl next day or something like that. But in the open countryside, you start riding in the morning. You have this kind of expectation. Something is happening, but you don't know what. But that's sort of. Anything that happens can happen. It's a original incident. It's not repeated. It's not predictable. It's happening. That's the great feeling when you start riding into the day.
Do you remember any smell of the road?
Yeah, the smell is very. I smell my mother's red cabbage and Metwurst dish, It smells very good.
And
Yeah, but the smell is incredibly lasting for a long time. Suddenly you smell something and it reminds you of 50 years back,
the smell is a very. It's not a. It's I would say it's one of the scents that we have less. We don't talk about it. It's difficult to. How do you describe a smell? You don't describe it. It's difficult.
Melodies as well. The melodies come from my childhood. What you did, but not what happened yesterday, but what happened a long time ago.
Yeah. But for me,
and you can sing it probably. I'm got good voice, but you could still sing like the things we sung when we were in Boy Scouts or something like that. I mean, the memory is strong.
What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out on their own journey?
Get your ass up and go.
Just it.
No, but that's not a really good advice because you got to go on small trips. first that you know what it's all about, So go around the Mediterranean or go around Europe, go around to the Cap North and then back again. So you know what you can expect, But you can also go and take a flight to Bombay and start right in India. You have many surprises there, but if you survive, do the best to your ability.
Okay.
And be stubborn.
Be stubborn. As we finish as we started. Okay, Heinz, thank you so much for accepting this invitation. Your story is not just an odyssey on wheels, it's a lesson in freedom, resilience and a choice of life.
Yeah.
Muito bem, espero que tenham gostado do episódio. Eu gostei muito de ter esta conversa com o Heinz. Se gostarem deste episódio, já sabem, podem partilhar com os vossos amigos. Se não gostarem, partilhem na mesma, que é capaz de haver alguém que goste de se inspirar neste episódio. Até ao próximo episódio. Obrigado. Heinz, thank you very much.
Tell me about something about you after this one.
Yeah, no, of course. No, I have all the time for you.
Now we can...
I have all the time for you to
can you drink a beer?
Yes.